Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. It's that time of the week again. It's Premier League predictions time. Another round of intriguing Premier League encounters are almost upon us for this weekend. Again, the Premier League may be done and dusted as far as what the top and bottom are concerned, but there are still places for European football for next season that are still up for grabs. That are the main talking points over the next few weeks. The final few weeks, of course, of this very season. And this is still going to be the video where we're going to be talking about the games, analysing them, and of course trying to give predictions on how I think each and every single game will turn out. As always with these videos, hit the like button and subscribe if you are new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And of course, I encourage you all to get involved yourselves. Let me know your own predictions down below in the comment section over the games that are coming up this weekend in England's top flight division, as well as your thoughts, comments, opinions and feelings, and everything else you've got to say about the Premier League itself. Right, sound good? Great. Then without further ado, we're going to kick things off. And we're going to start off with Fulham against Everton. A Premier League classic to kick off this weekend, Saturday lunchtime. And I've gone with a 2-2 draw. Again, there's very little at stake for both of these teams. When you look at Everton, of course, they are safe and sound in 14th. When you look at Fulham, they are in 11th, safe and sound there. There is the potential for Fulham, I guess you could say, that Europa Conference League football might become a possibility for them with an 8th place finish, if that is to be legit and genuine. I'm not 100% sure how it works out with obviously everybody qualifying for Europe and obviously both one of Tottenham or Man United definitely qualifying for Champions League, but it still could be a possibility this season, there's no doubt about it. Either way, we know that both these teams put on a Premier League classic. We know that this is one of the most played out games in Premier League history, and we know that both teams on their day can be extremely difficult to play against. So I've called it down the middle, and I've gone for a bit of a goals galore type of game because I'm hoping for some entertainment this weekend. So 2-2 between Fulham and Everton. Next up, Brentford. Bit of an informed side right now. Picked up a few decent results in recent weeks. Go against already relegated Ipswich. 2-0 to the Bees is what I've gone for here. Maybe worth putting in Visser and Mbuemo. Just a thought for your fantasy teams. If, of course, you're still paying attention to them. Unlike myself, that has completely flopped this season. But, yeah. Maybe worth it. Look, it's not a foregone conclusion, of course. Ipswich playing for nothing, throwing caution to the wind could obviously upset the Bees a little bit here. And this is the type of result that, you know, maybe Brentford would slip up on, usually. A bit of a banana skin. But, again, Brentford themselves, let's have a look, just double checking, find themselves in 9th. An 8th place Europa Conference League spot could be on the cards for Thomas Frank's side towards the end of this season. And with the form that they are in, you wouldn't back against them. But they need to obviously maintain that good run of form. I think they will here. I'm going 2-0 still. I'm sticking with that. Next up, Southampton against Manchester City. Manchester City looking to, of course, maintain their stranglehold on a top 5 spot. And I think that this is a bit of a foregone conclusion with all due respect to Southampton. Man City are in great form. They should easily win this game. And if they do, they will go level on points with Arsenal in 2nd place. And no one would have probably seen that coming, given the fact that there was a time earlier on this season where there was only 1 win in 13 for Pep Guardiola's side, or something along those lines. So it'll be a good achievement for City to redeem themselves and, of course, gather some momentum ahead of next week's FA Cup final. This should be a very easy game to call. City to win by 3-0. Next up, Wolverhampton Wanderers taking on Brighton, and I've gone with a 1-1 draw, called it down the middle. Again, the incentive should be with Brighton. Europa Conference League, an 8th place finish is still not out of the realms of possibility for the Seagulls. But Wolves could throw a spanner in the works. They are playing for places. They are playing for points. So, you know, it's not around as a possibility for Wolves to continue their progression under their new manager. I've gone down the middle. I would probably be leaning more towards the team that has the more incentive in Brighton to get this one done and dusted and get the win. But the points to be shared may not be a bad prediction this weekend. Next up, the Cherries take on the Villains as Bournemouth go up against Aston Villa for our Saturday evening fixture. And again, Aston Villa both of these teams have a bit of an incentive to go for the win here. Bournemouth, of course, not out of the realms of possibility for them to get Europa Conference League. And Aston Villa, of course, currently lie in 7th. A win here would see them definitely leapfrog Nottingham Forest into 6th, depending on obviously Forest result later on in the weekend, of course. But a 6th place, a Europa League spot for next season. And of course, going level on points with both 5th and 4th place Chelsea and Newcastle, it could be a very interesting finale for Aston Villa, especially considering that 4th and 5th play each other this weekend. So it's a massive weekend for Aston Villa to, of course, get a win in this one. I think they will. I think they'll just have enough firepower to do so. I like Bournemouth. I like what they've achieved this season. But I just think Aston Villa may have the bit more incentive, and not just the incentive as well, but just the more firepower going forward that might just tip the scales in their favour. But it should be a very exciting and interesting battle to be played out for our evening viewing on Saturday night. Next up, Manchester United taking on West Ham in the first Sunday game on this list. I've gone a 1-1 draw. Now, of course, United will have all their eggs in the Europa League final basket. And that's understandable and fair play to them for getting to that stage. So, realistically, I think what we can expect from this United side is a heavily rotated lineup that is going to be building up fitness for certain players, that is going to be about just keeping certain legs moving, keeping the momentum going a little bit. But ultimately, there's going to be a lot of rotation, there's going to be a lot of subbing in, subbing out, that kind of thing. And I would anticipate West Ham to maybe take advantage of that. Again, West Ham have nothing to play for. They're safe and sound. They're not going to be pushing up any trees anytime soon in terms of success towards European football stages. But it still could be there for the taking for either side. Obviously, United will want to continue their progression under their new manager. Maybe certain players may be playing for a place with their new manager for next season and with United. So that could also be a factor to consider as well. But I'm still sticking with the draw. I'm going down the middle. I don't think either of these two teams will really play to their fullest of capacities. So, yeah, I'm going 1-1 in this one. Next up, Nottingham Forest taking on Leicester City, and I've gone 3-1 to Nottingham Forest. A Midlands clash here between a side that is just found themselves losing momentum in recent weeks, now on the outskirts of a Champions League spot, and are in danger of maybe falling slightly further beyond the Champions League, should, of course, their run of results continue to be poor. And going up against a side that are already relegated in Leicester City, of course. Forest having more incentive, you would imagine, might just tip the scales in their favour to go on and win this game. They should do. They should win regardless. I think Forest's main problem in recent weeks has been their lack of squad depth. I think the ferocious and just exciting season has somewhat caught up with them a little bit in recent weeks. I think the lack of rotation may have done that as well. Obviously factor in a lengthy FA Cup run as well. I just think that maybe the lack of squad depth may be hindering Forest a little bit as the season wears on. But they should have a good opportunity here to win the game and to keep their Champions League hopes alive. And again, as I mentioned before, they are 6th. They've got 61 points. With 4th and 5th place Newcastle and Chelsea playing each other this weekend, they have the opportunity to, of course, leapfrog at least one of them two teams this weekend. and get back into the top 5 spots. So it's a good opportunity for Forest, this. It's a very good opportunity, but they need to take the opportunity with both hands if they are to get back in the top 5. So I think Forest will go on and win the game. They should go on and win the game. But of course, nothing is ever a given in the Premier League. Leicester, we've thrown caution to the wind. They're playing for pride. They are against a rival. So this is certainly one for them that they don't want to lose either. 3-1 Forest, though, is my prediction. Next up, Tottenham Hotspur against Crystal Palace. And similarly to Manchester United, Spurs are obviously putting their eggs in the Europa League basket. So it doesn't really matter for them. If they win a trophy, it'll be their most successful season, despite potentially finishing as low as 17th in the table with over 20 losses, I think now. I think they've got 19 losses right now. It could obviously get worse for Spurs domestically, but in terms of maybe silverware, they could obviously end the campaign with a trophy that they have been craving since 2008. They come up against the Crystal Palace side that's similarly to Manchester City. Well, not similar to Manchester City in the fact that they've got nothing to play for, but similar to Manchester City, they of course have the one eye maybe on a FA Cup final that is coming up next week. So maybe the thought process is on that game. They don't want to overexert themselves. They don't want to get injured before that monumental and massive game in Crystal Palace's history. I think Palace could get the win. I think that a draw is probably likely. But strangely enough, I don't actually see Tottenham winning it. Again, I think they will have one eye on the Europa League final. I know it isn't coming up for a couple of weeks, but they won't want to obviously get injured before that game. They'll want to just kind of keep the rotation going, keep the momentum in the players' legs. Same with Palace to a certain degree. But again, I can't imagine that this is going to be one to watch this weekend because I don't imagine both sides are going to play to their fullest potential. Having said that, maybe with the quality that Palace have in the final third, they may take their chances and will get the victory in this game. Next up, the penultimate game on this list. Liverpool against Arsenal. I've gone 2-2. Now, in any other game week, this may be the main event of this weekend's round of Premier League fixtures. This may be the biggest highlight of this weekend. But I feel like there's a bigger game this weekend, given the context that these two teams are playing for nothing. They're playing for nothing. I've gone 2-2 because I'd be obviously leaning more towards Liverpool winning, but I don't see ourselves, again, pushing the envelope, so to speak. I don't see ourselves going a million miles an hour in this game. I said it earlier on this week. Liverpool right now are like achievement hunting. You know when you get towards the end of a game, you play through the story, you play through the campaign, you beat the story, you beat the game, and now you're just going back throughout the game to achievement hunt. You're collecting things, you're doing side quests. That's basically what Liverpool are doing right now, in my opinion. And like I say, there are certain players in the squad that may be playing for a place in Arne Slot's side for next season, so they may go a little bit more into it than others. There are certain players that, like Mo Salah, for example, are achievement hunting in the sense that they will obviously want to get a few more assists under their belt to obviously break records. It's going to be interesting to see if Trent Alexander-Arnold plays in this game. I think Arne Slot has already said that Conor Bradley is going to start this game. So whether or not Trent's going to be on the bench, whether or not Trent's name is going to be announced over the tannoy at Anfield, it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of reception that man gets on Sunday. And of course, the cherry on top of that cake is of course the fact that Arsenal will have to give Liverpool a guard of honour. Very sweet. Very sweet indeed. As far as what Arsenal are concerned, look, I think top 5 is a given. There is a slim possibility that they could fall out of the top 5 if they lose all 3 of their remaining games. But in my opinion, they are going to win at least one of them. So it doesn't necessarily matter. And plus, other results have to go against Arsenal, which I think, given the grand scheme of things, is going to be unlikely. But yes, it's going to finish 2-2 in my opinion. It's going to be a draw. Neither side are going to want to push themselves. I imagine there's going to be a fair amount of rotation involved. I imagine for Liverpool especially, being at home for the first time since they won the title a couple of weeks ago at Anfield against Tottenham, it's just going to be a bit of a party atmosphere. It's going to be a bit of a party atmosphere. I'm sure they would like to redeem themselves from that defeat last week to Chelsea. But ultimately, we know that the pressure's off. It doesn't necessarily matter. Go out there, enjoy yourselves, enjoy playing as Premier League champions. Achievement hunt. Hopefully, Salah can get a couple of assists under his belt to really push him to try and break that record of Thierry Henry and Kevin De Bruyne. But ultimately, like I say, I think for certain players, it's about playing their way into Arne Slot's side for next season. And for others, it's about achievement hunting. I've gone 2-2. I'd be leaning more towards Liverpool. It's going to be interesting to see the response of Arsenal, given the fact that obviously they got knocked out midweek in the Champions League to PSG. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to seeing how both teams approach this one. And finally, and what I believe to be the biggest game of this round of fixtures, the main event of this weekend, we're at St James's Park for Newcastle against Chelsea. And the reason I put this game last is because obviously I think there's a lot more riding on it than what the Liverpool-Arsenal game would have been. And I've gone 2-1 to the home side. Last week, Chelsea picked up a great victory against Liverpool. Fantastic win. They were very much deserving of that win. They played very, very well. But ultimately, I couldn't help but feel that certain people were waxing a little bit too much on the Chelsea victory. I did feel like they caught Liverpool at the perfect time. Of course, that was the first game that Liverpool were going into it, knowing that they were Premier League champions. They didn't play to their fullest of capacities, in my opinion. And I feel like if Liverpool had actually turned up and wanted it a little more, maybe they could have actually got something out of the game. It was through a couple of mistakes, of course, that Chelsea got their goals. And I just felt like, as good as what Chelsea were, maybe certain people were going a little bit overboard with it. In this game is really going to be telling. Now again, Chelsea very well could go on and win this game. They very well could go on and get the victory that they need to take a stranglehold on the Champions League race for next season. And if they do, fair play. But they're coming up against a Newcastle side that are also wanting to take that stranglehold themselves. And they have a much more dangerous midfield, in my opinion, than what Liverpool displayed last season with a heavily rotated side. They have an attack that on its day can be deadly. Alexander Isak especially is looking to hunt down Salah every step of the way for the golden boot. I'm going to find this one very exciting and interesting to watch on Sunday, and I can't wait to watch it for Sunday's viewing. It's going to be an interesting battle. The midfield especially is going to be an interesting battle to watch unfold. Both sides will obviously want to win it. Both sides need to win it, in all honesty, especially when you consider that Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest will both be breathing down their neck. And if they obviously pick up wins themselves this weekend, they will obviously be breathing down one of these two's neck, or both of them, if they both drop points in a draw. So it's going to be a very interesting finale to this Champions League race, this Champions League battle for next season. I'm still sticking with my original prediction. I think the home side will drag Newcastle over the finish line, but don't rule out Chelsea. Of course not. We saw that last week. But I just think Newcastle may have a bit more in the midfield, a bit more in the attacking third, and maybe defensively, maybe they'll be a little bit more solid than what the Reds were last week. I'm going 2-1 to Newcastle, and I'm sticking with that prediction as the top 5, I was going to say 4 then, top 5 race heats up. And there you have it. There is just my opinions, my predictions on this week's games in the Premier League. I want to know from you guys, though, what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts, your comments, opinions, but most of all, of course, your predictions down below in the comment section. I can't wait to read them all. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new or want to see more content like this. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fetched. This has been another Premier League predictions video, and I will see and speak with you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll speak to you all again very, very soon.